Hello, everyone, and welcome into the SunDevilSource Postgame Show following Arizona State's 24-14 loss at Cincinnati. I'm Blake Neiman here with Chris Cartman. And Chris, Arizona State got off to this game with a really good start. They got a stop on the opening drive, then parlayed that into a successful touchdown drive of their own with Cameron Scadaboo. Then on this near sideline right here, we saw Keith Abney come up with a huge interception. Things seemed to be really going the Sun Devils' way. But then after that, 24 unanswered points before halftime for the Bearcats. What happened, man?
Yeah, they've had some games where they've had a good opening drive followed by a long stretch of ineptitude offensively. That happened in this game. Cam Scadaboo lost a fumble right here behind us, set up a Cincinnati easy scoring opportunity. Cincinnati first in the Big 12 coming into this game in forced fumbles. So that's something that you had to be aware of on the scout. Scadaboo's not fumble prone, but he lost that one. Cincinnati had the 55-yard touchdown run where ASU blitzed on that play. I think Jordan Crook and Miles Razor came flying in, kind of overran the play. Keyshawn Elliott had been cut off. ASU's not really given up a lot of long touchdown runs. And then I think the third down and fourth down problems were just really bad in the first half. Some questionable decisions and or play calling, I would say, on 2 fourth downs. They didn't convert. They had other issues on third downs, and I think that kept them from generating any sort of momentum with Jeff Sims. Cincinnati also started to squeeze up at the line of scrimmage when Sam Levitt's on the field. That allows the balance that keeps defenses a little bit backed off. So it made the run game harder, and I think that carried over into the second half. Of course, field goal kicking has been a disaster for ASU. I think I didn't like the decision for ASU to go for it on 4th and 2 rather than kick a field goal from a 48-yard line. But this was not a good performance by ASU, and there have been on the road now 3 consecutive times where ASU has not played nearly as well as it has in home games, which is, to me, a sign of, okay, this team has made progress, but still isn't where it really ultimately wants to be.
Arizona State had some high expectations coming to this game. It was supposed to, try and get them to bowl eligibility after they had a bowl ban last year. But, some elements of navigation, traveling 3 time zones. It's an early kick. It was 9 a.m. Arizona time when the game kicked off. But at the end of the day, it was a lot of crucial decision-making that ended up being the difference for the Sun Devils. They were 4 of 12 on third down and 0 for 2 on those fourth downs. What were your thoughts on those specific decisions and how they affected the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult situation, traveling 3 time zones. I woke up this morning before 6 a.m. Arizona time to try to get to the stadium. They were doing the same thing. I don't know that impacted those particular plays in any kind of discernible way. 4th and 3, they decided to go for it. I think that was, to me, a punt situation in their own territory early in the game. You have Jeff Sims. You scored. I don't know about that. But then the play call was a little screen to Scadaboo. Cameron Harple missed his block in the slot there. But there would have been a second defender. I think that would have been a tough one for them to convert. The second decision, 4th down, they were in a shotgun, 4th and 1. I think that's where you want to be under center. I think that Jeff Sims' design, QB run, QB optionality, and or giving the ball to Scadaboo more quickly has an ability to kind of help you in that situation. Again, I didn't like the still in the first half. There was a third down conversion that they had that was taken off because of a penalty that ASU committed, and then Jeff Sims also didn't run kind of early enough, and then he stepped out of bounds when he probably didn't have to. Could have tiptoed that sideline, and that turned into a punt. So that was really bad. And then the second half, fourth quarter. 3rd and 2, they're driving, call a slant, right? Okay, but Cam Scadaboo, he's like one of the best running backs in the country. Yeah, they're crowding the line of scrimmage, but maybe you should run the ball there. 3rd down, 4th and 2. Kenny Dillingham said after the game, the decision was even if you go and you convert, that doesn't guarantee you points on that drive. He said it was a standard decision to kick the ball, but what makes it harder is not having confidence in your kickers, right? So, but the execution was bad, and I think some of the decisions were a little bit shaky.
when ASU got into those situations to try and get points, get back into the game and convert, Ian Hershey missed each of his two 40-plus yard field goals, and they were quite significantly off. Kenny Dillingham has talked about his struggle being able to get height on the ball, and that's why Carson Kiefer came at different points. He said now that the kicking situation has been so frustrating, he's going to be having open tryouts this week, of people that can come in and if they're a student at ASU, show that what they can do. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, we've seen this at schools around the country occasionally, taking that aggressive of a stance when being unable to make a lot of field goal kicks. ASU's had very good kickers for a very long time. So this
including Carter Brown, who's on the bench over there on Cincinnati.
Correct. So this is a very stark contrast from that, which I think is even more frustrating for ASU fans. Now, about 90 minutes or so before this game, Kenny Dillingham was watching Ian Hershey and Carson Kiefer kick field goals, and they were actually doing a good job. And I think that kind of goes into the mind of, okay, like our kickers are making a lot of these 40-something yard field goals in warm-ups. They hadn't kicked a field goal the whole game. So you get into that situation where it's 2-score, 10-point differential. Okay, kick a field goal, try to get the ball back, but it's not working out. And so he said, serious. I asked him, are you serious? When he said that they're going to have kick tryouts for kickers on Monday, and he said yes. And that's going to get a lot of attention, I'm sure. But look, the Big 12, Blake, we've talked a lot about the parity, the competitiveness. So many of these games are going to be one-score games or single-digit games. You cannot really go on the road and miss both of your field goal attempts, especially when you need it. It's a bad situation. ASU has got to find a way to get better there.
And Kenny Dillingham did credit Cincinnati and the toughness that they had. He said he got out-coached in the way the Bearcats approached this game. And another aspect of the road that has been difficult to navigate in the Big 12 for the Sun Devils with some passionate fan bases has been the physicality of the football teams, specifically Lee Fatano, the ASU's offensive line leader, said that had been a little bit of a struggle in trying to win that side of the ball. What did you see there in the previous road contest that ASU has played that has been a difficulty for them to establish and really set the tone at the line of scrimmage?
Well, it definitely has. It's really hard to know how much of that is playing on the road, 3-hour time difference, an early kick. Texas Tech and Cincinnati both played odd front, which is different than what ASU goes up against on a day-to-day basis in practice, and also a lot of the other opponents that ASU's played. So maybe that was a factor to some degree. I think these are ingredients that go into the recipe of struggling. And that's kind of what we saw today. Yes, they did lose at the line of scrimmage. Part of that, of course, I think was having Jeff Sims at quarterback versus Sam Levitt. Sam Levitt, with a lot of the RPOs, a lot of the passing game, that keeps the safeties back, keeps linebackers from creeping up a little bit. They didn't have that. It's not that Jeff Sims played horribly. He didn't turn the football over. There wasn't like a bunch of bad passes as far as like going to the defense. He had one that nearly got intercepted very late, but otherwise it wasn't that bad. It's just that the gap between what he's able to do and Sam Levitt in the passing game has knock-on effects that impact the rest of the game. Do
you think at any point Kenny Dillingham should have thought to go to Trenton Bourget, given his experience that he's had in football games over the past couple of years?
It would have been very difficult. If they were going to do it, it probably would have been maybe at the beginning of the second half. They're down 24-7 or whatever it is at that point. Bourget is more of a quick game passer, quick game rhythm passer, a lot of completions underneath the defense. It's so challenging, though, Blake, because Cincinnati's run defense has been more of the weakness. And you have Cam Scadaboo on your team. And so I can't necessarily fault that too much. I think that's sort of a 6 of one, half a dozen or the other in terms of whether or not it's the right decision. But hindsight's always 20/20. People are going to say what they think about quarterback play, and I get that.
Bye week next before a trip to Oklahoma to take on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. ASU is going to have some time to maybe rehab some of the injuries that occurred in this game. Javen Robinson ended up having a sling after he went down with an injury. Justin Watley had to hobble off the field. A couple of occasional guys went down in this game. What do you think ASU, heading into this second bye week of the season, a rare season in which they have 2 byes, can take advantage of this opportunity to regroup and head into this final home stretch of the year?
Yeah, good question. I think they did a good job with their last bye week of getting back to the coordination of their run game efforts and how physical that they were at the line of scrimmage. So that's something that will be positive for them going on the road against Oklahoma State. They're not this loss in and of itself doesn't knock them off of a good trajectory on the season. We'll have to see what happens with Sam Leavitt, whether or not they get him back. I've heard it's possible, but it's very much to be determined, and is how the injury progresses with him. Otherwise, I think they're largely healthy. The Javen Robinson injury, that's an issue because LT Welchton has to play a lot. He seemed to do fine in this game coming off the bench. Justin Watley kind of limped off late. And I don't know if he was back to 100%. He missed a tackle that would have forced probably a punt situation or at least a fourth down, a TFL opportunity in that game. Other guys are kind of getting back into the flow of things. I think they should be relatively healthy. With the Leavitt and Javen Robinson things, the big question marks going into Oklahoma State.
ASU looking to correct and get back on track this upcoming week. In the bye week, we'll have full bye week coverage for you on SunDevilSource.com. Thanks for tuning in to the postgame show with Chris Cartman. I'm Blake Neiman. We'll say so long from Cincinnati.